Hello friends, family, and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a high-level best of 3 from the Korean StarCraft League number 45. Top left spawning as our Blue Zerg player playing for Team Talon. It is Dark. In the bottom right playing for the Shopify Rebellion. It's of course Byun. Best of 3 in the semi-finals of the Korean StarCraft League between those two players. So you had a command center first. Coming out of Byun. It's one of the builds he sometimes uses. He just throws it in there. Marine first as well. Dark on the other hand, just opening with the standard Dark opener. Dark is not much of a pool firster. Yeah, you need a specific type of Zerg to open pool first. Dark is not one of them. Dark much prefers just going hatch first. Loves his quick speed as well. As you can see, there's a lot of dudes in gas right now. He's gonna play Marine into Reaper. Okay, I've never seen this particular build before, but I find it interesting. Triple CC at a very high pace as well. So I guess this is just going to be, I was gonna say no factory, but he still has a lot of gas. I'm not very familiar with it. So usually, okay, yeah, it's just gonna be a barracks actually. It's just gonna be a heavy focus here on the barracks. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with this particular version of the build. We very often see a Reaper opener or a Marine opener. And a Marine opener often means it's going to be a quick factory with it. A Reaper opener usually also has the 2 gas initially. We're seeing none of that. This almost feels like a Terran versus Protoss build here. Look how cute this is though. This Reaper is going to find these 2 links that were trying to make their way across the map. It's going to have a bit of target fire here on the tumor. It's not quite going to go down, but this Ling might. Reaper stays alive as well. So that's 2 Ling kills here for Byun. Yeah, really very close to a Terran versus Protoss build order with this quick triple CC. And I don't mind it entirely. I think it's kind of a cool start here. Tech Lab coming down, of course. And I'm fully expecting a Byun-esque move out here with a bunch of Marines, Stim, Combat Shield relatively quickly. As I say that, I now realize we already have a very fast factory and actually just a single Tech Lab. So that's not going to be the case. Byun in the past, we've seen him play a lot of like 4 racks or 3 racks type of move outs with 2 Tech Labs, Stim and Combat Shield. This allows you to hit very quickly, but it delays your medevacs, thus forcing you to deal damage with that initial Marine push out. These are usually fairly all in and often followed up by 2 base timing attacks. Here Byun says, no, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna pretend like this is a more standard game, except I'm just skipping the Hellions. So he's just building a single Tech Lab. That means that the Combat Shield research will be very late, but he has gas left over for the factory. He's gonna have plenty of gas for a quick starport and can quickly start pushing out these medevacs. So although his first push is going to be without Combat Shielded Marines, it is still going to be quite strong because it will most likely have these medevacs here. This is a fake move out. And after Dark scouted with the Overlord what is going on, single Tech Lab and a factory, I'd be surprised if he builds a lot of links. Even these links are already a surprise to me. These 12 are not just a surprise, they're also just a mistake. With the information that Dark has available, there's absolutely no need to build these links at this point, because the first timing push is obviously going to hit together with the first 2 medevacs, and he could have calculated the exact timing by his Overlord Scout. An Overlord Scout that, by the way, I don't think quite should have happened. So a pretty decently sized mistake here out of Dark, building these links earlier than he wants to. The earlier you build the links, the later you have the drones, which means that you have just a bit less mining. So even if Dark wanted to go up to, let's say, 62, 63 workers, he should have done that first and then gotten his links out. It's just much more efficient for the Zerg player. Now, that doesn't mean he's dead. It's just a minor mistake here in the grand scheme of things. As Byun is going to send his first 2 medevacs out, we see a cut at 61 workers. 1-1 upgrades pre-lair, so an extremely delayed lair upgrade. That means that the Baneling speed upgrade is also not going to be there. Hell, we don't even have a Baneling nest yet. As Dark is going to really heavily rely on this run by dealing some damage, or at least forcing some type of response out of Byun. These Marines are doing something, but 6-7 workers will fall pretty much for free. More Marines now moving in. Medevac still flying across the map though. I want to get a cancel here on the top side 5th base. That was 4 workers that just went down. More Lings making their way across. SCVs being pulled off the line. Byun's going to continue dropping towards the main. 6 SCVs go down on his side. More and more Lings still streaming across the map. But what does Dark have ready in the main base? And the answer to that question is, well, not a whole lot. 1-1 is about to finish up here as well. That means that these Evo chambers could be in a little bit of trouble. We see a single transfuse, but that's not going to save the carapace upgrade. As these Marines continue fighting. Combat shield not quite done yet. First queen goes down. Second queen goes down. Third queen gets transfused as both medevacs will fall, as 18 SCVs have gone down behind this. And it feels to me like Byun is in just a world of trouble with lots of worker losses, with some losing the medevacs always sucks, obviously, and very minor damage. Taking out that carapace upgrade, of course, is nice. It feels good. I'm really happy for him, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. Now, we do need to keep in mind that Dark basically did a link flood of 60-ish workers or so it's not like he has crazy eco. But he did also kill a lot, so it's also not like Byun has crazy eco. So if you look at the supply, honestly, Byun not in that bad of a spot. I really thought this would be much, much worse for him, but he seems to be doing at least somewhat okay. We have a fairly action-packed game here. Hydra's coming out, 72 drones in already. That is fairly early for the first Hydras to hit the pitch. Centrifugal hooks on the way now, as we're gonna see the carapace upgrades as well as +1 range. Not having the carapace though is a really big issue. It really is. And there might even be a timing here for Byun. I think he's actually gonna have a bit of a timing where he's gonna have the +2 and there's not gonna be a carapace. It's gonna be very close. But at least he's going to be up and upgrade this entire time. And we'll see that in these interactions between the Lings and the Marines as well as the Queens and the Marines, of course. That's going to be quite impactful indeed, as these Marines absolutely blast through these Lings. Queens now the only thing here holding the line. Hydra's pop out, 1 medevac goes down. Not the greatest trade here for Byun, who is building a factory somewhere. I don't see where it is. It's over here. Factory being constructed. Almost dead. 4cc on the way as well. 126 applied to 126. Still with an upgrade lead here for Byun. Has a couple of mines in the mix as well now. Starts moving in forward. This is just slow Hydras, isn't it? Yeah, no Hydra speed, just a range upgrade. Drones being pulled off the line. That is never a very good sign as these mines get to connect. And 9-10 drones will end up falling. 2-2 is actually about to finish up just 5-6 seconds before the carapace. If there's a fight in this timing window, that would be absolutely sick. But yeah, it's too small. +2 upgrade advantage. That is something that we never really see in this matchup, to be honest. 3 more barracks are coming down, so that means we're going to see a transition into Marauders already. Dark has managed to sneak in a couple more drones, which is good. 77 workers right now for him. Against just a 67 out of Byun. Byun doesn't have a fort base yet either. We have a Baneling run by trying to get some damage, but it's just going to die to this drop that was being sent out, or this Marine move out. Not sure what it was. Byun's going to rotate further towards the top, maybe even thinking of dropping in towards the main base. It's of course always a viable option that Terran has. Just boosting in towards the main as long as there's no spore crawlers there. This is something that Zerg needs to be very aware of. Scout is going to come quite late as well. There's not a whole lot of vision here on the further to the right. So just now, Dark is going to see this. We'll need an instant response for this. And this is such a beautiful move here that we see Byun make. So this drop in the main is good, but then I love this rotation towards the top side, because this is a top side attack, right? So the units that were defending the top, a lot of them moved in towards the main, because often you have threats on different sides of the map. Byun realizes this and is instead just gonna move forward. I do believe he just got spotted. Dark needs to, well, desperately try and get in position. We get a scan forward. Byun tried for a sneak attack here. This was a beautiful move, because this is exactly what you don't expect. It didn't work out. Dark did have some vision here. It must have been a Ling. I saw something die. Either a Ling or a Changeling. As once again, this fight should be decent enough for Byun, as long as it doesn't get hit here by any big Banelings. That mine was absolutely massive. We still have the 2 medevacs in the main. Let's not forget about that. Byun always very aware of where units are moving. Sees units coming in from the left side and immediately drops in towards the main right now. Just a single queen in position, a couple more coming in. But 2 Marines with 2 medevacs are gonna just destroy these queens if he wants to. We should try and focus down another Evo chamber if he can. That would be sick. Imagine getting the carapace upgrade twice in a row. Instead, we'll just target down that Hydra then, which is being rebuilt. But that's going to delay the lurkers. Oh my god. Look at this. This is just a mass marine style here out of Byun. This is extremely uncommon in this matchup. This just doesn't happen due to banelings and lurkers. So him sniping that Hydra then actually is a huge help when it comes to the style that he's playing. Usually we see a follow-up with Marauders. The 3 extra barracks will add tech labs on and then build Marauders. As the game just ends here, it's Byun's quick reinforcements just a little bit too much. Phenomenal gameplay. Now, before Byun cut me off by winning that game, I want to say that the standard is to follow it up with Marauders. As Marauders, they're solid and tanky. It's more of a transition unit into the Ghost as well. You can put them forward to tank banelings. And if you're just building mass marines, despite having good eco and having a lot of production, I don't want to call it an all-in, but it is pretty freaking all-in. Because transitioning into Ghost is hard. You don't really have a... Like, the moment Ultras come out, you lose. Like, any type of higher tech is extremely difficult, but against a pure Lingbane army with low Baneling counts, it is really cool to have a lot of Marines. Because Marines are the most supply-efficient unit and probably one of the most cost-efficient units in the game as well. So it's one of these things that we don't really see, but we saw it now, and it ends up working. Just a never-ending supply of Marines. Just a legit mass Marine build. As Byun's multitasking a bit too much there for Dark. Of course, Dark in a... Honestly, I didn't think he was in such a bad position, but he also wasn't in a great position after the early game. He did the link flood of a lower worker count than I thought he did. Maybe a little bit too long as well with the continuous ling attacks, and I didn't take that much damage in the main though. I don't know. It felt like that initial trade really wasn't bad for the Zerg, but sometimes I look at these things and I think to myself, well, that was good for Zerg, or that was good for Terran, and then it doesn't really seem to be true, and I don't quite understand why that was. Byun, I guess, didn't really miss a beat macro-wise, which is always going to be great, of course. No scout, by the way. Out of Byun once more. At least so far. It's going to add a second depot into the wall. And his first Reaper starts. Let's take a look at what Dark is doing here. So far, not a whole lot. It's going to go for a fast third hatchery. Before the third Overlord. This is one of the most common build orders in the Zerg versus Terran matchup. So, slightly delayed speed because you fully pull out of gas. Then you send your drone over right about now. You should be capable of getting it down at 28 supply. There we go, indeed. Usually this goes down at 30 supply, so it's just a little bit faster. Just a tiny tad faster. Dark with the 6 links, that's the Dark standard, really. The more links you build in the early game, the less you should lose. Because it's much easier to micro. And so far that does ring true. As not a single link is gonna go down. And the queen pops out. I see an inject on the low ground. And an inject on the high ground. Double injects here out of Dark. Also not very common at all. This CC is finishing up. We're gonna see a triple CC. Single gas opener. Out of Byun with a really fast second gas. So that would indicate a fast starport. Second factory. Okay. Ooh. Byun's switching it up here. I honestly can't remember the last time I've seen Byun play mech. So I'd be shocked if he were to actually play mech right now. Like, legitimately shocked. If I were to see this particular opener in Maru or Ryang, I'd say this is mech. But with Byun, I'd say this might just be Blue Flame Hellion. Blue Flame Hellion into Bio anyway. That would be such a Byun thing to do here. But I could be wrong. People do change. And, ooh, it is a third gas. Okay, now I'm starting to feel mech a lot more, yeah. Alright. Okay, I haven't seen him play this in I think ever. This has to be one of the first times I've seen Byun play mech. Yeah. That is wild. We have a quick Roach Warren coming out of Dark. Has 3 gas as well. So Dark is going for an all-in. A Roach all-in. Roach Ravager Ling all-in. 43 workers. Now these types of attacks, there's 2 ways you can execute them. So the first way is just you build 8, 9, 10 roaches, however many you want. Usually I think it's 9 roaches. And then you just go across the map, you deal some damage, you hope your opponent is an idiot, and then you win the game. You can also flood links with it, which is exactly what Dark is going to be doing here. That means that's a bigger investment in there. And if you don't... Like, you need serious damage here. killing all the workers in the natural is not enough. You're going to need way more than that. You'll need to kill a bunch in the main as well. Like, you need to enter the main base with this type of play, all right? Roaches are being spotted. So these two scenarios that I sketched earlier, against the no-ling reinforcement scenario, a Hellion run-by is the best thing you can do. However, if Lings are there, then they could surround the Hellions, and you don't have any Hellions left anymore to deal with the Lings when they reinforce. So the first 3 Cyclones are out, with 5 more on the way. Byun is also continuing the wall, which I love. And look at these Hellions, just picking off reinforcements, or trying to pick off reinforcements. This is such a cool play. Lings are being spotted right now. I hope Byun did see that. He's going to try and bring these to safety. Oh, he's moving pretty far forward on the map right now. Would love for him to be behind these walls. The Ravager count is extremely high. Byun's gonna try to lock onto this. Depot wall could fall here. So we see the dance. Perhaps the last dance. Depot's being dropped on top. 5 Cyclones on the way. 28 more Lings coming out as well. As the Hurricane Thrusters have now finished. That is the speed upgrade for the Cyclone. First Ravager gets sniped. Here come the Lings. And a couple of battles actually connecting with the Cyclones. SCV control is good. Some nice hold positioning. Depot does get raised barely in time. That is extremely important, as the SCV control here has been fantastic. Cyclones are staying alive for now, as it just continues kiting back, really. 23 workers have gone down. More Lings flooding in as well right now. Splits on the Cyclones do seem good enough. As I believe that... I think Byun might be doing this defensively here. Ravagers have disappeared off the face of the earth. 27 workers going down. But don't forget, we're on triple CC. We have a couple of mules available to land right now. Dark instantly starts 6 more drones. It was more than 6 drones. Cyclone's gonna get caught, perhaps. Needs to be so freaking careful with this type of stuff. Hurricane Thrusters helping out, making sure he don't get surrounded as quickly. Still will lose 2 of these Cyclones. That was an okay trade here for Dark for 2 reasons. 1, he takes out Cyclones with Lings. And 2, it probably scares the ever-living crap out of Byun. It's gonna make him play a little bit more careful, a little bit more patient than perhaps he would want. Burrow's on the way, 10 more drones as well, double Evo chamber. Perhaps this amount of kills was good enough because the attack lasted so long. It means that we didn't really have any serious SCV production during it either, and not a lot of mule mining. It feels like this might have just been fine-ish for Dark. Byun did survive, but Dark feels in such a safe position right now. I really don't mind it so much for him. Yes, the quicker upgrades coming out, that is the standard against a 3 factory openers, that Zerg has faster upgrades. This is a beautiful run by the way. That's actually phenomenal. Cyclone here is gonna try to lock onto some of these bad boys, but there's really not that much defensively. Dark could have gone in there, probably would have lost all of his Lings eventually, but might have been capable of getting some good kills. Hard to say what the correct call is there. As more and more roaches are being built, it seems obvious to me that Dark is going for yet another attack. This time off of 63 drones. Really the same type of attack, this time just with roach speed, and I assume he's going to wait for 1-1 as well. We have a 4 CC already coming out of Byun, who's just now getting his double extra factory, double armory as well coming in. Ling run by towards the right side, but there's still minerals everywhere, so I'm not quite sure what the point is. Maybe he wants to take out these rocks. Would come for a cheeky run by. This would be an insane surround if he gets that. That is such a sick tactic. I love that. I love this type of tactic. This is one of these things that it looks really simple, but it could just simply end the game. There we go, as the surround does kind of materialize. Lots of Cyclones here going down. Roaches with some good movement as well. 7-8 Cyclones going down, and I thought this was a mistake, but this was brilliant. Attacking these rocks there, taking it out, definitely paying off there. 5th CC instantly start, and I think the only thing Byun now can do is go for camping mech. So just sitting there and doing nothing, which funnily enough is the opposite of what camping usually is, right? Usually people that go camping, it's not like they just sit in their tent the entire day, they just go hiking. It's a terrible name actually for the type of mech, more turtle mech. Makes a lot more sense to me. eBay here is going to get cancelled. This type of stuff is not hard. It's simple, but it does need to be done. You know, like the little eBay cancel at the last moment and just rebuilding it like 1 inch further towards the top. I don't think it's going to be enough though. Dark's just going to come in the game. No air units, not enough tanks. And Dark ties up the series. I think this is one of my favorite things in the world. This is the... I'm not even quite sure how... This is like the standard, the default mode that everyone has. Is that you win the first game with a CC first. You lose the second game with a barracks into gas. Later command center. You look at these 2 games, you're like, alright, what do I do in the third game? Obviously the build that I won with. Now it is a different follow-up, but it's the same opener. So CC first into double gas. Dark once again just with a hatch first, of course. Marine here coming in as well. Let's see that factory. Poof. So this is going to be very different from the first game. First game, heavy focus there on the Marines. Here we're going to see at least a couple of Hellions, I assume. Factory in this matchup almost always is for Hellions. Sometimes for a Cyclone or 2. Almost never for an early tank. Or a mine drop. It's extremely rare to see because both mine drops and tank attacks just kind of don't do anything against Ling Queen, which is the standard defense. They also don't do anything against roaches. So yeah, really there's nothing they're good against. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go for it. Lings try to make their way across the map, and that's good because this is 4 Lings against a single Marine. It's not a fight that this single Marine can actually win. SCVs need to be pulled off the line. Surround does materialize. Everything dies. SCV's going down as well. It's not a great start here for Byun, but at the same time, these 2 Lings also could have been extra drones. Oh wow, it's gonna go for a second factory once more. So isn't giving up on the build, instead is just, or yeah, not on the follow-up, not on the idea of mech. He just gave up on the opener there. Or maybe realized that what he did earlier was just not great against a Rocha lane. Once again though, we have a Rocha lane. Stark is the only player that goes for 2 Rocha lanes in a row. Triple CC. Second factory. We're waiting for that third gas. It's just gonna be a triple factory. It's once again just going to be straight up mech here. It's just going to be straight up mech. And if we have the same type of attack, that could be very difficult. However, this attack I think is going to hit a bit earlier. I think we're gonna see an earlier drone cut. Before we saw 43 drones. Now I think we might just see 40 drones. And there's also no third gas. That means that the likelihood of there being 8, 9, 10, 15 Ravagers, or however many Dark have, is going to be much lower because the gas just won't be available. This is more likely going to be a straight up Roach push out. And against a straight up Roach push out, you're actually kind of okay with Cyclones. That's an absolutely fine thing to do. So Dark also doesn't even have metabolic boost yet. I didn't realize that, but now I do because I just saw it pop up in the production tab. I don't think that Dark is going to be very happy with this early game as he hits a large supply block as well, adds in a third gas. So could maybe still go for a delayed Ravager push. So this is like a fake move out initially, then he goes back home, and then he pushes out again with like a crap ton of units. 5 Overlords being produced here is of course a little bit suspicious as these are gonna try and run by, but the cars will fall before they get anywhere. I think Byun honestly has gathered enough information to know what's kicking off right now. He's seen more drones in production, he's seen the slow Lings, he's seen the Roaches, and if I were to suggest anything to Byun, it would be to move on the map. See if we can get something done here with just these Cyclones. Just moving across. Double armory coming out now, as well as this siege tank. Factory, sorry, barracks is gonna start flying forward. And a 4cc instantly gets thrown down. Maybe we're just gonna go into an actual macro game here. Wouldn't that be? Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, it would be. We don't have any upgrades, right, for these Cyclones? Like no Hurricane Thrusters. We don't have Blue Flame Hellion either. This tech lab hasn't really done a whole lot except build a single tank for now. really a hard pivot early on into those tanks as well is something we don't see a whole lot. Most of the time we see a much larger commitment to the Cyclones and the Hellions initially, or map control, creep denial, maybe trying to fight around the fort base, or sometimes even just straight up all-inning off of Triple Factory, something we've seen as well. But that is not at all what's happening here. This is a much more kind of defensive approach, a much more passive approach out of Byun. Fort CC is Fort Hatchery is fairly late, by the way, here for Dark. Does have a supply lead. In comparison with the previous games, we have a relatively calm first 7 minutes, as neither player has truly interacted with the other. Resources lost at about 300 apiece. The hive is gonna get constructed. Very fast hive, by the way. Pre 7 minutes is always a good timing to have it. So I'm feeling... I think I'm feeling a Viper rush of some sorts. Dark late with the extra drones as well, of course. The fact that this fort isn't done yet means that building drones earlier doesn't really do a whole lot. I wonder if there's going to be an orbital or a planetary. Do we even have right now an eBay? Yeah, we do have an eBay. So technically planetary could be constructed. You get a scan on the natural. Doesn't really see a whole lot with that though. It's going to turn into a planetary. Byun almost too afraid to do anything here, and that does surprise me because it doesn't feel like his position is that bad. Like he can at least move on the map with Heli and Cyclone. I guess without the Hurricane thrusters that is maybe a bit scary. It does significantly increase the movement speed of the Cyclone. Overlord Scout. Well, Overseer Scout. Gonna get a lot of info. Spire coming out. That is interesting and almost odd. That the timing of it. If you were to rush Broodlords, for example, then you'd probably want to get that Spire much quicker. So you can start the Greater Spire the moment your hive finishes. Here it starts so late that it almost feels like a bit of an afterthought. It's like, oh right, I want to get Broodlord at some point. But the hive definitely was for a Viper rush. So Vipers are probably going to be ready to go at around 9:30. Byun is going to be ready to go around now. And that means we have a couple of seconds here in which there's no Vipers. A lot of tanks out, Cyclones as well. I don't actually think Dark has enough stuff. He thought he had enough stuff, and I mean, he chews through, I guess, a bit of the front line. 1 or 2 tanks also going down here. 2 tanks total, but this was not a good fight at all here for Dark, who honestly needs to give up this base right now. Yep, there we go. That base is gonna get given up, and the Vipers, where are they? Are they in the main? Are they in the natural? They are in the main. They're gonna be ready to go right now, as I said, around 9:30. This just hit a little bit too quick, and as there were no Ravagers available to truly delay this push out, Dark is just gonna lose a base. 96 workers for Byun, by the way. 96. That is a very good eco, especially given the fact that he's only mining from 4 bases currently. Very high worker count. Greater Spire starts as well. And this is where the Vipers really have some type of role to play, is when there's no Ghosts, no Vikings, nothing really to deal with it. We get Blinding Clouds rather than Abduct. That means that he wants to crush this army rather than pick off individual units. And in the end does go for some individual pickups. This was a better fight here, I want to say, for Dark, but this still wasn't brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. This was a trade, like a big trade, but not necessarily the greatest trade mankind has ever seen. There's very good reproduction here for Byun with 8 factories. How many reactors? We have 3 reactors, 5 tech labs. The eco for Byun is absolutely phenomenal. It is better than what Dark has. So you make it out what you will, but this doesn't feel great for Dark. Usually a trade like that, I'd look at it and say, wow, that was great for Dark. But given the eco circumstances that we're in right now, I don't actually think that was brilliant. And in a way, it allows a small transition back into higher Cyclone numbers and maybe a more active playstyle here for a little bit during this kind of chaotic period. Ling run by is definitely going to help out. Do we have Adrenal Glands? I hope we do. Yeah, we do. Looked like it. Cyclone's now gonna try to move towards the bottom side. Dark smelled it. Cyclones. He's gonna start moving in right now. As we have a minor move out towards the middle as well. This is such a risky push in. Holy crap. Byun, you madman. He's gonna try to take out as many drones as he can. There's no Hellions with this. That means that Lynx by themselves can be quite powerful. Don't forget that this looks very expensive, but Cyclones are not as expensive as they once were. And this trade actually ends up being somewhat okay. 10 drones go down. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but at least efficient and taking out some workers. Opponent still not maxed, allowing a push out as well at the same time. 5 Brute Lords now are being morphed. Where are they being morphed? In the middle part. That means that I don't think this base should flat out go, actually. If he really wants to commit to it. Brutes coming out soon. Vipers also could be so useful here with a couple of abducts. I'm surprised we're not seeing them being used at all here to deal with some of these Cyclones. Good scan here. Absolutely brilliant scan. Great scan. Important scan. Sees the Brute Lords. Allows himself to move back. We don't really have any anti-air though, as the Cyclones here are gonna function as the anti-air. Will not take any of these Brutes out. I think the only thing Byun can do here is run away. And this doesn't feel like a realistic defense here, as the Brute Lords are doing some good kiting. These tanks are just going to get taken out. Byun in a world of trouble. As the first Vikings now are being produced, but it feels like Dark has cracked the code. Yeah, running away in base trading seems to me like one of the only options here that are available to Byun. One of the only realistic options. Perhaps with a Viking rally defensively towards this planetary, you can maybe still do something if you end up repairing it. The attack here on the right side is not being defended by the Brutes. It's going to get defended here by Viper, Roach, Ravager, and with all of those blinding clouds, that might just be enough. These were some phenomenal blinding clouds. Absolutely brilliant play. Dark with, yeah, just great movement, great fighting skills all around. Some slick transitions as well coming out of him, although it does feel like these Vikings are eventually going to clear the Brutes. There's 0 Corruptors out. Even with just 2 or 3 Corruptors here, I think this would have been, well, pretty much a death sentence here for Byun. That's not quite the case yet, but Byun's still in a god-awful position. I mean, just has a couple of Cyclones here. Brutes continue pushing in forward as they will eventually fall against the Vikings, but this Roach Ravager going to take out more and more workers. Does need to be careful that it doesn't get kited. That, of course, we still have all those factories just pumping out Cyclone after Cyclone. 7 workers as well being produced at a time, but the bank here and the setup for Dark is just so much better than what Byun has that it seems difficult to imagine a world in which Byun wins. He has 6 orbitals, which is, of course, those are major assets. It allows him to scan a lot. It allows him to throw down a lot of mules. So we'll see high income the entire year through, the entire year round. But I don't know. It seems hard to imagine a world in which Dark is gonna fumble this one. Has the fungal boys out as well. That means that these Cyclones will be way less effective, and let that be the unit that Byun just invested a lot into. Ooh, Vikings coming in here. We still don't have any Corruptors out. This actually could be bad, but it isn't really. I mean, I guess all Vipers do go down. That's not great. It really isn't great. At the same time as CC goes down, and this orbital is going to get lifted. The top left now is going to be under some heavy fire as well. No sensor towers to warn Byun of what's about to hit him, as he is in some serious crap right now. And this isn't even the final army that Dark can build. Dark has another army where this came from. Like, he can rebuild the same army once more. That's something you always want to keep in mind. It's not like Byun wins one fight and he wins the game. No, he needs to win a fight and then win another fight. 24 Banes are being built right now. This hatch is going to fall, but the drones stay alive. There are plenty of extra hatches to saturate, so it's not the end of the world to lose a base here. This is not a great start of a fight. There's really no buffer for these units. Where the hell are the Banelings? They're just idling here on the right side. What a enormous blunder here out of the Dark, honestly. Just move commanding in. At the same time, this Liberator is dealing some serious damage as well. We still have more units in the top left as well. Here comes the attack with the Bane. Should be capable of cleaning this up, as this is all happening on creep. This was an insanely sloppy fight out of Dark, though. Insanely sloppy fight out of Dark. And as this Liberator has gotten a bunch of kills, and Dark doesn't really have that many drones, It does feel like Dark is trying his best to throw this game out of the window. More Cyclones coming in as well. More tanks now moving through the speed zones. Dark probably very surprised by the amount of units that Byun is capable of producing, as he has set up this base once more. A single Ling would deal so much damage here. Just any amount of run by here would be enough. It's the same thing here on the bottom side. Byun just straight up rallying forward. Dark, however, does not seem to have the space in his mind to send out just even 5 or 6 Lings to go deal with these bases, to force the reinforcement line to re-rally to a 3rd or to a 5th. Because this is so much income. These mules represent so much income in the next minute or so. As the Cyclones connect with a bunch of these Ravagers. Byun completely back into the game all of a sudden. I have no clue how it... Well, I have a clue how it happened. It was one bad fighter in the middle. And then slightly over-eager in the chase. Losing a lot of drones during that as well. And now all of a sudden it seems to me like Byun is the one that is in charge. Byun definitely the one that is in charge. 8 tanks, 13 Cyclones. The Vipers aren't ready quite yet, as the Cyclones do get the lock-ons here. Good start of a fight here for Byun as he unsieges everything at the same time. Not really a fan of leapfrogging, it seems like. Now gonna re-siege some of these units. Ling run by indeed gonna hit this base. You see 16 workers going down. Had this happened 2 minutes ago, this game would not be close at all. Like, these 5 mules, they gave Byun so much money. It's actually crazy. Bottom side base gonna get taken out here as well. We have another Ling run by coming in right now, but this is plenty of tanks and Cyclones. And this is of course also something that run bys force, is they force units to stay there. They force units in bases that are undefended. And that means that your big attacks are going to be much weaker, and that's something that Dark is using here, saying, hey, you have a lot of units there, and if you don't, I can send in the Lings, and if you do, then I can perhaps fight this army. I'd love to see some more Abduct usage rather than all of these Blinding Clouds, especially against low tank numbers and high Cyclone numbers. It feels like Abducts would be much better suited at dealing with that. There's 3 tanks over here at this base. That is a significant portion of the supply that Byun has. It is the majority of his tanks right now, as he only has 5 total. Cyclones once again moving in forward. Lings trying to deal some damage. Can they deal with this? I don't think so. Might get a single tank. Might get 2 tanks. Might get all tanks. Nah, 2 tanks for now, but ooh, good repair there actually. That was fairly close. Another big Ling run by coming in right now. Dark honestly playing a phenomenal game here. The supply once again leaning in his favor. It always feels like that when Dark is ahead, he just starts playing better. He's like, oh. Or sorry, when he's behind, he starts playing better. It's like, oh, I'm in a bad spot. Let me just turn it on for a couple of seconds. Just all of these run-bys, the burrows here, forcing out scans. Still have 1 Ling on the top side as well. So these roaches here now going to start harassing the top. At the same time as Brood Lords here are being produced. Dark is playing freaking well right now. I'm not entirely sure who is winning this. Like, if we look at the spots, I think one of the issues that Dark has is that he doesn't have the ability to take bases anymore as much as Byun does, right? Byun is such a freaking mobile army. I really think Abducts are the key here. Can I hit a Blinding Cloud? I don't even think that works on the attack of the Cyclone if you do the lock-on, because I think that counts as a spell. That was an absolutely useless Blinding Cloud. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I think Blinding Cloud doesn't disable that. Because it, like I said, it's a spell. It's like Blinding Clouding a ghost that is using Snipe. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, this is a problem. Ling run by timed perfectly. This will need to be pulled away. 1, 2 mules are gonna fall. Oh crap, look at that Cyclone count. 35 Cyclones here. 35 freaking Cyclones. He's gonna get 5 more. He's gonna go up to freaking 40. Oh, yeah. This is Byun like I've never seen him before, to be honest. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him mass Cyclone. It's hilarious to watch. 2 groups as well. 43 Cyclones out. And I think Infestors are going to be a good call. I really would love to see a transfuse on this thing. Yeah, Infestors are massive, because roaches actually eat Cyclones alive when they fight. But Cyclones never fight. They hit and they run. They hit and they run. Here's a real nice one as well for Byun. He's going to clean this up. He's probably going to just push out this lane altogether right now. Say, hey, this top side, that's mine. I'm just going to go there And then if there's a base, I'm going to snatch that as well. Now, there is no base, but this gives so much map control here for Byun. Knowing that there's no run-by on the map is such a huge deal in this matchup. Thor's now being produced as well, as Liberators are being added into the mix. Gonna see a Cyclone run-by. Well, could actually clear all these. Killing these Overlords would have been a big deal, by the way. It doesn't feel like a big deal, but it would have massively supply blocked Dark here. Only has 198 capacity available. Doesn't even have max capacity right now. Neither does Byun have that, but Byun has plenty of income. The longer this game goes at the same pace, the better it's going to be for Byun, really. Because he's taking bases, he's dropping mules, he's mining like a madman. And is Dark mining like a madman? No, he's sitting on his bum like a madman. Corruptor being added in here. This base is about to run out. This base has run out. This base is fairly healthy, surprisingly so. And then I guess eventually we're going to take this base, and then at some point this one as well. So there's still 2 bases to mine from for Dark, as Byun is now settling on his final one. And then probably wants to move forward to try and catch this bad boy. So I think if we just play this out theoretically, like we fast forward 10 minutes or so, I think Byun gets to have 1 more base than his opponent. Or takes one of his opponent's bases, and that will be up 2 bases total. Ooh, this is an interesting fight as well. Splitter on the Cyclones. Marine-like, the way that he controls them. I even saw that in that second game against the Ravager Bane, as we have a pretty major fight here with Infestors trying to connect with these Fungols, but not really working so far. I think having 1 or 2 tanks here would be huge, just to try and push this forward a bit further. Cyclones are just going to split off right now and say, hey, you're probably going to go for a run-by, and I want to catch that. This is crazy game sense. Or he just wanted to go for a run by himself. Either way, this is going to really force Dark to do something. He's splitting a lot of units away right now. I almost feel like the Cyclone should just be going in towards the main. And then this Cyclone army should be moving forward. That's exactly what's happening here. Right now, it feels to me like Dark needs to make a choice. A choice between his last real mining base, or one of his last real mining bases, or all of his tech. And right now, he picks his bases. He wants those to stay alive the most. And even that fight isn't going so freaking well. Ling run by, however, is killing a lot of workers up here. But the Hive is going to go down. The pool is going to fall. A Greater Spire should be in some trouble as well, as these Thors are going to get taken out. But there's so much cash in the bank right now for Byun. All he needs is a little bit of gas, and he will be just fine. GG's going to get called here. Dark doesn't believe in this project anymore. Taps out, and Byun with mech wins the game. I said it in game 2. I can't remember the last time I've seen Byun play mech. And now we get it twice in a row. Phenomenal stuff. I love this. Very, very cool. I hope that he mixes it in and he doesn't... Byun sometimes is a little bit similar to mech specs, where they really focus on one build or one style at a time. And when they think it works, they play only that. And when they think it doesn't work, they'll start playing something else. I really hope Byun kind of switches this in every now and again as a surprise. Like, ta-da, I can play mech. Because this was great to watch. Just beating Dark. Dark is insanely good against mech in my mind as well. So that's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy this. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye.